So we are live, Prabhan.
We are live now. Let's give a couple of minutes. I think we can start. Hi everyone. Welcome to the Azure Developer Community Tamil Nadu edition. Today we are going to do slightly a different format. So we are going to do a Q&A series about the recent Microsoft Ignite event. We have a special guest. We have Dinesh from Kissflow, who is a product manager in Kissflow and who is also a Microsoft MVP. So he's with us, and I'm your host for today's session. Hi Dinesh. Good evening. You are on mute. Dinesh, you are on mute.
Yeah. Hi, Rabani. Good evening. Thanks. Thanks for having me here.
Where are you, Dinesh, today? Chennai or Coimbatore?
I'm at Coimbatore, Rabani. Yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm also in the same town.
Mm-hmm.
Nice weather
Great.
this evening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good. So let's start about your probably your key takeaways from the Ignite event this year. So can you just brief us about your key takeaways? Probably, yeah, that would be a good starting point.
Sure. So this Ignite, particularly 90 new services and updates have been introduced. So my key takeaways, which I personally like very much is Azure Synapse Pathway and the new data source that has been added to Azure Purview and the noisy neighbor problem which has been addressed in Azure Stream Analytics. So since I'm an MVP based out of data platform, so I was very interested to see the announcements, especially in data and analytics and governance space, where the security was taken into the key concept uh, to be secure and to be very clear on 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 managing the data security in all the features they have announced. Yeah.
Cool, cool. I think, yeah, just to brief about today's format also, we have collected some questions, both from the participants and the community organizers
Mhm.
in our various channels. So I have some bunch of questions in my hand, and I would like to push some questions from my side as well. So I'm going to swap. So I will ask from this pool as well as the other pool. And since you mentioned the Synapse pathway, it's also there in our question list. So maybe I'll start with that actually. So how Azure Synapse pathway accelerates the migration from other data warehouses in Azure Synapse. So this is the first
Okay.
question from the audience. Let's see.
Mhm. Okay. So first of all, I hope everybody knows that Azure Synapse is a rebranded version of Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So it is actually a SQL data warehouse. And
Mhm.
in cloud market, there are other SQL, other data warehouses as well, like Snowflake, BigQuery, Teradata, many data warehouses as well. Yeah. So uh, since upon the new capabilities of Synapse, many people are migrating from other data warehouses to Azure Synapse. But the main
Hmm.
challenge is already a strong production system would be running on top of that previous data warehouse. It could be Teradata or Snowflake or BigQuery, whatever it may be. Uh, Migrating those workloads which are running in production to a new data warehouse is a very challenging job, right? Because
Agree.
there should not be
Agree.
any
Yeah.
downtime. Even can be it can have downtime, but it should be very careful. Those who do this
Hmm.
re-engineering work, they typically know the pain points of it. So
True.
that was the problem. That was a pain point for the people who are migrating from other data warehouses to see Synapse uh,
Hmm.
analytics. So what Microsoft Azure has did is they have introduced this new service that is nothing but Azure Synapse Pathway, which actually accelerates, that is actually translates the SQL code from a list of data warehouses to the format that is being supportable for Azure Synapse. Simply say it
Hmm.
actually translates the SQL code from one data warehouse to Azure Synapse Analytics. Hence, it makes the life easier for the data engineers who sit behind, and also the company also did not invest a huge cost on migration just to rewrite the SQL code, just to retest those things and all those things. However, they'll retest. That is a different part. The SQL code migration part, Azure Synapse Pathway totally takes it into its responsibility, and it is free as well. The service.
Especially they focused about the acceleration part, right? So is there any early indicator how much it is helping in terms of accelerations compared to the previous migrations, let's say?
Definitely. I don't have the exact benchmark numbers, but it
Okay,
definitely accelerates in terms of quicker translations of code. So that's the key thing. Yeah.
cool. So my next one is on the OLTP transaction processing and the analytical processing OLAP. So if I just look back, we all started with OLTP, and everything is like all the operations, including the read. If you look at it, it's typically happened in OLTP, and then the OLAP is evolved over the period of time, especially in the last decade. If you see the evolution of data processing and the its own architecture, OLAP is evolved, and now I see there is a clear distinction between these two systems. Okay, so OLTP is meant for so and so use cases, OLAP is meant for different use cases. There is a clear distinction defined in the industry, but do you see still there is any barrier between these two systems actually?
Yeah. So as you told now, the architecture takes in the architecture, OLAP has taken its place as a standard
Hmm.
for I think some network glitches. Am I audible now?
Yes, I thought it's a problem on my side as well. So yeah, it's a classical remote
Okay.
working problem. Yeah.
If both sides are not a problem, then then the host is a problem. I think at my end also there is not a problem. Maybe it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
So
So you're talking about the OLAP. Let's continue there.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So coming back, there will be two systems actually. One to take care of the business application. That is the product itself to take care of the transactions, and the other to take care of the analytics portions. That's where the two separate databases comes into picture of a product's architecture. And to sync between these two systems separately, definitely there will be ETL, right? Extract, transform,
Hmm.
and load. One should extract the data from OLTP system, and it should do the required transformations, and it should load into the analytics
So
database, right?
one format to other format kind of.
Yeah, one format to
Hmm.
other format, and also you might depass some columns and do some transformations,
Hmm.
ignore some data. Many things will be decided in
Correct.
that ETL part alone, and
Okay.
to be dedicatedly stored in an OLAP database. So in that case, that ETL is a simple word to say, but it is a very big pain point because ETL has to adopt or has to be changed along with the OLTP changes. If a schema is changed in OLTP, then the ETL also has to be rewritten. Similarly, in case it might incur some schema change in OLAP database as well. So this re-architecture or rewriting of code within the ETL space always happens, and sometimes OLAP database need to wait to get synced
Hmm.
with the latest data. Right? That always happens. This particular thing I see as a small barrier. Kind of.
How do you think these kind of barriers are managed or handled at the Azure side actually?
Okay. Um, there are actually many databases, as everybody know. There is SQL Server, there is PostgreSQL. There are many databases are there. I'll talk in specific about Azure Cosmos DB. Okay, so as you all know, Azure Cosmos DB is a document based database where you need not have a very strong schema, and it is schema flexible. It stores your data as in a document format, right? So that is the higher end part of Azure Cosmos DB. With that itself, of course, you'll be using it for the OLTP purpose of your product. And Azure Cosmos DB stores your data in a row-based format by default.
Hmm.
That is a natural thing. Additionally, if you enable auto sync, right? Azure Cosmos DB also saves the same data in a column store format as well. That is the
Okay.
format of OLAP database. So
Hmm.
with the same single database, you'll have your data stored in two formats. One is in the row
Hmm.
based format for OLTP. One is in the column based format for the OLAP, right? So this is the specific thing which Azure Cosmos DB has been designed, and such immediate transformation of column based format allows to service a level of analytics workloads. Definitely, it allows to service a level of analytic workloads. But again, for a very complex product, and it might need some real-time complex analytics, or maybe it might need Spark-based machine learning pipelines where
Hmm.
you need a very strong backend like Azure Synapse, right? In that case, uh, Azure, what it provides is it provides a service called Azure Synapse Link that enables tight
Okay.
integration between the Azure Cosmos DB and Azure Synapse Analytics. So your
Hmm.
column-based format that has been restored in Cosmos DB will be synced into Azure Synapse, and in Azure Synapse, all your complex mission-based pipelines, machine learning-based pipelines can be run. And specifically, if you see here, I didn't mention the word ETL at all, right? Because
Right.
because within the Azure Cosmos DB itself, converting from row based to column store Azure Cosmos DB is taking care. And again,
Mm.
to store the data from Cosmos into Synapse, Azure Synapse Link is taking care, right? So the ETL workload is completely being automated, and that overhead is being reduced for the backend PB, so that it will be ready for the analysis as soon as possible.
It's completely abstracted from the user perspective. So it's been taken care by the internal conversions, which is happening in the Cosmos as well as the Azure Synapse Link part. Yeah, very interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm.
Since we are in the Cosmos DB, so I also have another question in the pool. So, um, do we have any enterprise features released in the Ignite also? Do you see anything like enterprise features released in the Cosmos DB recently?
Okay. So one is specifically this Azure Synapse Link, which I have told
Okay.
just now, and there are a
Hmm.
few other major features that has been released.
Hmm.
One is partial document update. What I can say is in Azure Cosmos, as I told earlier, the data will be stored in document format. Okay, so
Right.
document format, I can say it will be looking like a very big JSON kind of thing. Okay,
Hmm.
so previously, if you want to replace one specific field's value, or if you want to add one column, or if you want to remove one column, field, here it is called as field. So let me use the same field. All the actual procedure how you need to do is, in the program you need to fetch that document, replace that whole document with a new value, and that whole document will be sent to the via the network, and that will be stored in the Azure, right? So for a very simple scenarios, it is okay, but people go for Azure Cosmos DB just because it can adapt, it can be schemaless, and it can have many number of columns, right? So just imagine a document which is having 500 fields or 600 fields. Just for
Hmm.
replacing one field, let's take address column, which user might have replaced with new address. Just to replace that one specific address, you need to fetch that whole document, change that address, and you need to store back, right? So it is
Right.
a really very big network bandwidth usage.
Cumbersome process. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. As a programmer, we don't know, but
Yeah.
the network handles that huge kind of thing, right? So with this feature, partial document update, you'll be specifying the path level update to a specific field or property in the
Okay.
specific Azure Cosmos DB document, so that the whole document doesn't travel in the network bandwidth, and of course it indirectly saves some cost for the users too. I hope you get that part. If a user need to change, if as a programmer he need to change the address field in a document, he just need to specify that in this document, in this this is the field you need to change, and this is the new value, or this is a column
Hmm.
you need to add, or this is the column you need to delete. So that's the very crisp thing of this partial document update. That is one feature. And
Okay.
another feature I can say, like continuous backup and point in time. I hope
Okay.
those who are using other databases, SQL Server or whatever enterprise databases, such backup and point in time features are already exist there. In Azure,
It
it has
looks like a
been,
common one, right? It's like a common
yeah,
feature.
it looks, yes, it looks like a common one. In Azure also, it is there. It has been
Hmm.
enriched to the level
Okay.
of developers to easily recover or restore a data from any point within the 30 days of time. So that has
Hmm.
been enriched to the developers level, like that I can see.
Okay.
And another feature is role-based access control.
Hmm.
As you all know,
ACL.
Azure Active Directory is there. Yeah, Azure AD is there. And you can
Hmm.
integrate your role-based access control Azure AD with Azure Cosmos DB. And you can assign
Okay.
roles to users and applications, which provides a granular and well-defined way to control the data that has been accessed from Azure Cosmos DB by users and applications. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. Nice. So you also mentioned about this in your brief. So we are talking about the noisy neighbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how noisy neighbor problem is addressed in the Azure Stream Analytics?
Okay, fine. So first of all, let me tell what noisy neighbor in a very layman's term. Um, even recently we faced an outage of some services which we use every day, right, for the chat and
Mm,
for the social media. Maybe that the such a kind of things my such a kind of things is the outcome of this noisy neighbor. There will be
okay.
a set of resources, and there will be a number of customers pointing to that resources. Okay, so in general,
Hmm.
just in case if any one of the customer raises submits a very big request that consumes all of those resources, all other customers need to wait till that big job is getting completed, right? So that is called as that
Mm.
noisy neighbor. Due to those noisy neighbors, due to that particular noisy neighbor, all other neighbors get distracted or get disturbed, right? So that's the general concept. So
So sounds like
uh,
a blocking thread in a programming
yes, exactly.
style. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
In the multi-threading
Yeah.
arena, we call it something like that. Yeah. So in Azure Stream Analytics, now it has provided single tenant hosting for,
Hmm.
to overcome such privileges. If you simply say you can create a single dedicated tenant just for you, that increases the reliability with no noise from other tenants. Okay, your jobs will be
Mm.
getting submitted in your tenant alone. Otherwise, it will be idle, right? This is essential because critical things cannot be cannot be uh, left with choice, right? Let it go or something like that. So that's what it has been addressed in Azure Stream Analytics by providing the feature allowing users to create single dedicated tenant that can handle all the jobs of that particular customer. Yeah.
So do you see any kind of impact by introducing this kind of a dedicated tenant? When you say dedicated tenant, sounds to me from resources perspective, it could be costing more, right? Or the moment the word dedication comes into picture. So do you see any impact? I mean, it gives a benefit, but is there any other trade-off? Just bringing introducing this noisy neighbor um,
Yes.
part.
Of course, when the word comes dedicated, it increases the cost. As you told, it is right, but people are okay with that. Like those who need such a kind of dedicated environment,
Mm,
they're okay with that. Uh,
mm.
if not, obviously the common thing, the other side of the thing is there, right? You can go with the multi-tenant, and you can have the common pool of Azure statement.
Got it. Yeah, we used to call in architecture trade-off. So every decision there is
Yeah.
a trade-off. So it's not a
Yes.
there is nothing called a decision is perfect. So every decision will have a trade-off between it. So the next
Definitely.
one is an interesting one. So I think you are the best person. You are also from KISSFlow. I'm going to talk about the low-code platform. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you look at it, in my experience, also the programming language has evolved. I started like in my college days. There are programming languages like COBOL where you have to write a lot of sections and divisions to get into the proper instruction itself, right? So from there, now if you look at it, the evolution of programming languages, it's getting reduced. For example, between Java and other JVM-based languages itself if you ask me, the same problem I can address in Java, but probably in Scala or Kotlin, I can solve this in a very limited lines of code. Let's say, okay. And then now I see the other kind of transformation, which is called a low-code platform. So people just use drag and drop, and the code will be automatically generated, and then ease your focus more on what you need. The rest of the things will be given by the platform. But now I also noticed that Microsoft also announced the programming language, right? So programming language for low code platform. Um, the FX, right? Is that the right one? Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
FX,
Power
Microsoft Power
FX.
FX. Yeah. So why do you think we need a programming language for a low code platform?
Okay, that's an interesting question. As I told, the journey has evolved like from the object-oriented programming language to the functional-oriented programming language, and then to low-code, and then uh, again, it has been a new programming language for low-code. They're introduced like that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's where I'm curious to understand that piece. So if I look at the evolution, okay, I'm convinced still low code. But again, yeah, it's going like a cycle. Okay, there is a language required for low code. So
yeah, that's a nice question. So, just for a quick thing, let me tell what low code actually is. So, as I told, the Java, Scala, everything are called as full code. Okay. So, everything
mm,
you need to write as a code, someone who knows that language fully will write it as code, deploy it somewhere, and the end user gets that application. Right. So, when it comes to low code space, the business user, okay, so the business user knows the business, knows the needs better than anyone, right?
mm,
uh, there will be a person called as business analyst. He'll be talking to the business user, the businessman, and he'll be taking the requirements to the engineering team, right? He'll be between the engineering team and the businessman. In between, the business
mm,
analyst will be there, right?
right.
So that's what the earlier scenario was there. After low code, the business users itself can develop what application they need. Right? For example, consider a HR team in your company. They might need a process, employee onboarding process, or employee interview process, or something like that. Right? They need to enter the say, details. They need to upload the resume, and that uploaded resume has to be first approved by HR person, and then by the respective business unit. Like maybe you're an architect, so maybe you need to give a give overall tick mark, then the interview should happen. All these are process. All these process and the inputs and the application hosting itself, everything happens in that low-code tool itself.
Mm,
So they just do the drag and drop, and they just do the permission level. They just set up the workflow and just publish it, and that's it. Boom, everything is done, right? So this is very cool. Okay, everything is fine, and the application is being deployed. The low-code tool is working great. Everything is okay. But coming to your question, why low-code need a programming language, right? So actually, in my perspective, point and click tools like drag and drop, publish, and everything
mhm,
are great for quickly assembling the experience and workflows. That is fine. That is agreeable. But in real world, some situations need an additional layer of logic that goes beyond what is practical to do in as a drag and drop. Okay. So
okay.
what I mean about that additional kind of thing is maybe the CEO might ask to the HR team, like, show me the list of employees who has signed up in the last, who has applied in the last 7 days within Chennai city. Like something
Mhm,
like this, CEO might ask, right? As a low-code person, as a HR person, that person need to what to say, need to think over, or might need the developer's help or something like that, right? The other way is Excel kind of files, Microsoft Excel, as you know, or Google spreadsheets, whatever things are there. Within that, there is already a language which is being used, right? Right. You know that that's some of the two
correct.
columns or something like that, right? So this particular thing, Microsoft PowerX, even though it is called as low-code programming language, it is completely built on top of that Microsoft Excel's language. So it is not
Okay.
something that very new for the people to understand. So it will be it will be like a very minor transition from Excel's knowledge into PowerFX knowledge. But just imagine imagine the end result it can give. The same HR person who is a business user can address that particular requirement from the CEO with the help of this power effects. Again, it is
Mhm,
a simple Excel language, right? So simply say to address those corner cases, definitely a programming language, something like this is needed. Yeah.
Is the use case, I mean, this is one use case what I could understand. So this sounds to me is more of a query language. Can I consider that? Okay, if I, or is it also has, I can construct some behavior in it, right? I mean, I have some data which is already done by the developers, and if non-developer community, whoever it is a business people or a product people wants to retrieve the data, retrieve the informations. Is that the primary use case, or do you also see any other use case or demand for having such a um, language?
Okay. That's again a nice question. It doesn't confine to address the data related
Okay.
requirements, right? It is not confined to that alone. It again solves the general purpose to be safe. What I say
Hmm.
is spreadsheet like formulas will be there, but it obviously solves the general purpose. Like while while you're designing your form or something, you might need to make some fields to be displayed only for the approval, maybe, right? For example, you have decided. Let me tell you the same HR example itself. The person who applies for the job need to be able to see a set of fields. Okay.
Hmm.
The other by the other way, based on the details he enters. Okay. For example, a person applies for C sharp senior developer role. Let's consider like that. And while as an architect, if you are opening that form, you might need to see some other information. Actually, you
Right.
need to see the current senior C sharp folks who are present over there, who are serving notice period, or actually, do we have any opening or not? The projects that are waiting for this position, like that, some other details are there. So based on the condition, based on the value selected by the user, the HR need to design so and so values need to be displayed additionally, right? So in that case, a minor kind of if else condition need to be written, right? So that's what such kind of programming languages solves. Yeah.
Got it.
I think
Got it.
it
I
has
think, yeah.
answered. Yeah,
Yeah. I see the industry. I mean, the other perception, what I see is also like the requirement or the end user to the end executor. Let's say the gap is getting reduced day by day, right? So, for
mhm,
example, if I need something and the let me put it this way: the producer and the consumer in this case, right? So there is generally there will be a lot of translators. So there is the requirements goes to the domain experts. There is a business people, and then there will be a product team, and then getting into the developer tester, something like that. So it's a classical end-to-end product development life cycle. So nowadays I see the industry is cutting down a lot. Okay, if I connect these two people as close as possible? Okay, so that's
yeah,
where all this low code platform, architecture perspective also we see a lot of things are emerging in the market, like domain driven design, all those things. If you look at it, the agility, how do I increase my agility? How do I make sure like the people can talk in a common language, common way of exchanging the communications, let's say? All these are like emerging a lot. The way I see is, okay, the purpose of this language also to satisfy that need. So that's how I kind
definitely.
of based on your explanation, I understood. Thank you. it's a,
Yeah.
it's
And
really good.
and one more thing, uh, full code, low code, and no code is there. No code is
Mhm.
specifically will be used by the business users, 100%. When it comes to
Mhm.
low code, it sits between the no code and the
Between.
full code. Yeah.
Got
So
it.
there will be more business, but a decent level of programming language. That's what this boundary is addressing. When it comes
Clear.
to no code, then it is very big, obvious question. Why? Definitely, it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have a programming language kind of thing. But I think it is
Mm.
acceptable in the low code space. Yeah,
Got it. So the next question is like, what are the new sources upon which Azure Purview can scan and classify data residing in them?
Okay, okay. So first of all, Azure Purview is a data governance solution. Okay, so
Mm,
it is not a database, or it is not a kind of Google search. Both are different purpose. Purview solves another different problem, right? So it actually creates a holistic and up-to-date data map of your whole data landscape with an automatic data discovery and sensitive data classification, right? It classifies it as collections kind of thing. Just imagine a big company, a pharma company, or a kind of company. It involves all sectors people. Like there will be domain people, there will be sales people, there will be marketing people, there will be developer people, the development team, and there will be analytics team. Everybody will be there, right? So mostly the analytics team will be the data consumers, and the data producers will be the all the other teams, marketing, sales, the actual core team, the R&D team, whoever it may be. Uh, if an analytics, if one person from analytics team, let's consider he is a data scientist or data analyst, if he has got a use case to do some research, to do some analysis, first of all, he need to know where the data is, right? The R&D team might have stored the data somewhere, right? But that
mm,
knowledge might or might not be aware to the data scientist or data analyst, right? So in that case, there will be a lot of documentation, link for links, where is the data, and all those usual kind of things. We'll be shooting up mail, and the respective lead will be transferring that to the respective person, and he'll be sharing the data. Again, there will be a question whether can I share the data or not. That R&D person will be getting approval from the lead, and that lead will be telling, okay, only then the data will be coming. Again, the data scientist might have doubt. There is a lot of that collaboration gap that exists, right?
mm,
That's the problem
mm.
Azure Purview solves. Uh,
Okay.
so within Azure, it is not something like Azure Purview is going to act as a mirror, and all the
Hmm.
data is going to be visible for all the others. Again, that governance coming to picture
Got it.
based on the company's governance rules. A basic set of rules will be laid down. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is, let's consider that R&D team itself. That R&D team will create their data list, right? Their CSV file or Excel file or some images, whatever it may be. They'll create as a set of collection, right? As a collection in Azure Preview, so that it can be visible upon searching with a term. So once this Azure Purview is being integrated in your overall ecosystem, either it could be Power Platform, either it could be your SaaS-based or multi-cloud-based tools, or your database, or Microsoft 365, or your Microsoft SharePoint, whatever it may be, uh, anyone can search what data they need, and they'll be able to see the data they are accessible to it, right? And they can easily consume the data and resolve the problem. Coming to your question, so what are the new sources that has been launched in this Ignite, right? So already AWS S3, SAP, Oracle are the external data sources which are in preview, upon which people can scan the data reside in them. I mean, scan the data in the sense they can see what data is present in that, right?
Mm,
What file is present or something like that. Additionally, right now, they have announced that Azure Synapse workspaces, either it could be in serverless or dedicated SQL pools, people will be able to
mhm.
discover and govern the data across that also. Yeah, that's the
Nice.
new data source being released. That's a very long answer
Good.
for it. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, Next one is on the Cassandra, let's say. Okay, fine. The probably I have a different understanding from an architecture perspective, so I'm interested to hear from you.
Mhm.
What is the advantage of having a managed instance in the Cassandra cluster?
Okay. First of all, if you need to set up an Cassandra cluster, then you need to plan your hardware resources. The same, the on-premise and cloud
Mm, mm,
version, cloud deployment differences and the advantages. You need to plan your resources. You need to plan the properties, and also you need to maintain it as well. If something
right.
is goes down, if any of the node goes down, then you need to replace it with some other thing, or you need to manage all
Mm,
those things. So first of all, having a managed instance of Cassandra cluster, the deployment itself made simple with a very few button clicks and specifications, right? So that's one
mm,
thing. And other advantages are the scaling of nodes will be fully managed and simple. It's all about specifying a number in the numeric text box, and if you deploy it, it's going to get deployed automatically. And another advantage which Azure provides in terms of this service is, apart from the default metric collector within within Apache Cassandra, on which you will be visualizing in a Grafana dashboard. Additionally, you'll be able to integrate with the Azure Monitor service. Okay, so it is basically for the health monitoring and diagnostic analytics, and that will be an added advantage. And another advantage is, uh, you can do hybrid deployments, right? You may have an on-premise Cassandra cluster already, which might be having a set of nodes and one or two clusters, right? And you might plan your additional Cassandra cluster in Azure Cloud. Okay, that might serve only once in a month or once in a week or maybe once in 6 months also. Right? You might not scale up the your on-premise cluster all together and scale down. You might have that scaling portion alone in the cloud, and you can enable the hybrid deployment via Azure
oh,
Express Route. Yeah,
okay.
there is a service called Azure
That's
Express
cool.
Route.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So with that Azure Express route, you can enable this hybrid deployment, and your unexpected scaling portion alone, your cloud might take care.
Mm,
Again, this is a
mm,
business decision. We should not remove on-premise something like that. If the stakeholders say, then this is the other way, right?
mm,
So
mm.
overall, in a very short perspective, the cloud's own advantage, pay-as-you-go model that incurs cost only for the nodes, and the two only based on the workload. Yeah,
Nice. Great. I think, yeah, that fills my gap actually. It's because the scaling part, the other portions which you explained, I was also in the same impression. But yeah, the hybrid
Mhm.
model is something new. Very interesting. Um, Cognitive search. Okay, so this
Mhm.
is another buzzword now. I would say I'm from the travel world.
Mhm.
It's a kind of next gen searches now. People everywhere, people wants to predict. Let's say, okay, even a traveler before you decide where you want to go, uh, the people wants to sit on your brain. Okay, that's where it comes from the search itself. So if you look at it in terms of the experience, okay, we want to stay with the experience of my customers, but it starts. I would say it starts from the cognitive search itself, right? So it's very powerful. I see it's tremendously growing, and everybody is behind these kind of technologies. Azure Cognitive Search is also available in the market. So, what are all the improvements you see? Actually, improvements or your experience, or can you just talk about that cognitive search?
Sure. So, of course, search doesn't need a very layman explanation because Google search has established a very high benchmark. Like whoever in the
Yeah.
world is able to get answers for whatever the questions they have, except what a wife thinks or something in the personal life, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to a product, as you told that you are from a travel kind of product, you have the travel kind of product. Within your product, you should be having a search bar in which if your customers do any search, right? uh, Best travel, best hotels in Chennai, or best hotels in Goa, best travel path, cheap travel path from Chennai to Goa, something like that. You should not be expecting Google that would be typical. We'll be kickstarting with the product with the Google search, but however, your product will be having a strong database, right? Maybe 20 years or 30 years, you will be in the travel industry, and your product itself might be a very big data base, right? Out of your database, you should be showing the result, right? That will be the relevant for the person, because
Right.
the customer doesn't search in Google. Your customer
Hmm.
searches within your product. So you need to show the results which are relevant to your product, which are possible by your product, right? So that's what the user will be expecting when he's searching. In this case, the
Hmm.
main challenge is for that particular search box alone, the development team will not be able to build a very strong search capability, right? That is a very big challenge. That search itself might need a separate engineering team, right? So for solving this problem only, Azure Cognitive Search kind of products exist, right? So with that Azure Cognitive Search product, you will be mapping your database, your product's database, and this kind of search will be very secure within your product's boundary. It will not go
Hmm.
away out of your products, right? So the general search products, such a kind of dedicated, customized search products, mostly it will be keyword-based search. For example,
Okay.
if you are entering that hotels in Goa on Christmas Day, something like that, then it will take the keywords Christmas, Goa, hotel, and it will be showing the list in the search pop
True.
autocomplete pop, right?
True.
But that is very common industry now to provide a keyword based research, a keyword based search. But what you can see is with a semantics search capability that has been introduced in Azure Keyword Cognitive Search, the search
Hmm.
results and the format of your data will be displayed based on the intent of user, right?
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
based on the key terms. So
Hmm.
if again with the same example, hotels in Goa on Christmas Day, which means his intent is to search for the best hotel in a very cheap price on Christmas Day, right? He doesn't now want a list of hotels. He was
Yeah.
already aware that during Christmas the hotels prices will be costlier, and might not get an accommodation also. That is his intent of search, right?
Also is looking for a Christmas as an event. So there will be probably the hotels which has some specific events for Christmas, let's say. Okay. So if you
Definitely,
have
yeah.
already tagged in your
Mm-hmm.
stuff, so those kind of things also, it's like, okay, this is what is the intent of the customer here in your
Yes,
example, right?
exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah,
identify the intents from the keywords.
yes,
Yeah, which is very good. Yeah, very cool.
yeah. So in this semantic search capability, it will be showcasing based on the intent. I think the intent, the
Hmm.
word we discussed with us relative examples, right?
Right.
Definitely to be open, it will be not, it may be not 100% kind of thing, but it will solve the user's needs to a reasonable extent, not kind of a mission made reply. The reply will be a better reasonable. For example,
Hmm.
if you have enabled such a kind of search in your product, it would definitely make a difference than search that is present in some other product, which might not have this feature enabled, right? So
Yeah.
that is the value difference when we introduce such a kind of features into our product. Yeah,
So it also supports the learning, correct? I mean, whatever
of course.
the results are coming out, and then it will fine tune based on the learnings what it
Yes,
is.
yes. It will fine tune, and mainly the search is not going to be over the tabular form of data, not only on the tabular form of data. It might
One. Okay.
be based on the photos, or it might be based on the data that you submit. It might be based on the reviews, whatever. Maybe many things are there.
Got it.
The cognitive search will intelligently develop an index and based on customers' intent too, and it will showcase the better results. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So the next one is on the Power BI. side, recently announcement on the Power BI premium architecture. It's there in the
Mhm.
preview right now, right? So, can you talk about, the futures? What all the futures are there in this in preview?
Okay. I'll specifically add one main thing, right? Like all the products, Power BI also will face outage of resources. Okay, because there will be
Hmm.
one kind of main server throughout the company. A specific dashboard or a specific report or something might be accessed, and it might face a resource outage again in this case, right? So some might fail because, especially, just think about the paginated report. Okay,
Hmm.
paginated report in the sense, it might go for pages, might have 20 pages to 100 pages or whatever it may be. So to fetch all those data into Power BI, beautify it based on the formats that has been designed in the dashboard, and export it to some other format. It's all possible in the paginated report, right? So when the resources become over allocated, definitely catastrophic errors might occur, and services, especially like paginated reports, which need full isolation of resources, might not able to be provisioned, right? So, but now in this Gen 2 architecture, right, Power BI Premium's Gen 2 architecture,
Hmm.
it is possible. To be in particular, it is not fully dedicated, but the resources are drawn from a very massive pool. Okay, so the
Okay,
performance level is being guaranteed by Power BI, and is very focused on CPUs, IPs. That's what the underlying architecture has been redesigned to a bit.
very interesting. Very interesting. I think we are the last
Uh, uh,
question of the day, Dinesh.
mm, yeah.
Okay, so this is from the audience poll. What feature helps avoiding manual data entry, especially for online banking and hotel industry?
Okay. So it is that new feature is rolled out from Form Recognizer, which is an Azure Cognitive Service. Now
Mhm.
it supports pre-built identification of documents, government documents like driver license, passport, and also enhanced extraction of information from bills like invoices. Okay, and also it has been enriched to read data in 64 additional languages. Earlier, it
Mm.
was something like 9 language. Now 64 new languages has been introduced. So it can read data from 73 languages as of now, right? So let me give a very simple example. In a hotel industry, while a person is booking a room, obviously he'll be giving his government ID, right? So
Mm.
at the other end, the hotel person, the what we call that person, uh, uh, the
The
registration, who does that
receptionist.
registration? Yeah,
Okay.
receptionist. He'll be scanning that a government ID, especially for compulsory, and again he'll be entering the data. Dinesh Kumar Prabhakaran
Mm.
from Coimbatore, this is the address and all those things, right? So if the service this form recognizer is enabled in that product, then once the government ID is being is being scanned out, that itself will scan the basic information like the name of the person, last name, first name,
Mm.
date of birth, date of expiration, sex, and all those things, and it will autofill the data, and it will
Mm.
be in a couple of seconds. He can navigate to asking the person which kind of room you need or something like that, and quickly that can proceed to the room booking. Not it is not just in the direct face-to-face thing. The same might be possible in while booking a room in the application as well, right? So that's the feature. It can new additional languages are supported, and also pre-built identification documents. It is able to extract information. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, for maybe I can add a couple of points here. If people are wondering, we are talking about cognitive search. We are talking about a lot of automations. We are in the world of RPA. Still, why do we need a manual data entry? Okay. So probably if I have to say, my understanding is still there are a lot of regulations in many domains, many industries, if you are talking about insurance or banking. So that is where on top of how much we automate, how much we put a workflow, how much we put kind of RPA solutions, still there are countries level regulations, there are domain level restrictions. The manual data entry is unavoidable. So that's where still there is a demand or curious about these kind of features, okay, which enrich the manual data entry. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's a nice point.
Great. Dinesh, we are end of today's session. It was very nice talking to you, and thanks for joining us today. If there is any other questions, we can reach out to Dinesh offline. For all the Tamil Nadu community members, I request you guys can post it. If not now, you can post it offline in our meetup group, and then we always have accessibility to Dinesh, and then we can get back to you on this. Thank you, Dinesh. Thanks for your time. It was nice talking to you.
Thanks, Rabani. That's so nice. Yeah.